Every engineer knows this feeling. Your phone buzzes at 2 a.m., you drag yourself to your laptop, and the alert, it's nothing. A blip that resolved itself 30 seconds later. That's alert fatigue, and it's how real incidents get missed. In this video, I'm building an AI agent that sits between Grafana and your phone. It reads every alert and decides if it's noise or if it's real, and only pages you when something actually needs your eyes. Free templates, link below. If you appreciate this type of content, let me know by gently tapping that like button. I've been paid for P1s and I've been paid for nothing. And after enough 2 a.m. pages, you start to realize the difference is almost never the alert itself, it's the context around it. So let's get to work and build an agent that has that context. All right, so let's hop into the build. Over here, we can see a workflow in n8n. If you have seen some of my previous videos, you're familiar with this. You would also be familiar with Slack and how we send alerts over. But now we're adding in Grafana. And Grafana, if you're not familiar with it, is a monitoring software. So if there's an issue that comes through on the database or something that we're interested in, we can set up an alert and we can send it to a Teams channel like Slack so everybody can know about it. In this case, in this test environment, I set up demo high CPU usage. And this alert is going to keep firing in this demo environment to show you that it will go over to Slack, right? And we can see over here on Slack that this fired off and it said here critical demo CPU usage. And we can see now that it's firing off again, another alert has come through over here on Slack. Here's the thing about alerts. Most monitoring setups treat every alert the same. A CPU spike that self-resolves in 10 seconds gets the same page as a database that's actually down. Same channel, same urgency, same buzz on your phone at 2 a.m. At my job, we deal with this constantly. P1s and P2s 24/7, and the alerts that actually matter get buried with the ones that don't. I've watched teams cut through backlogs of over 2,000 tickets, partly just by removing noise before a human ever sees it. And the pattern holds here too. The fix isn't more alerting, it's smarter filtering before the page even goes out. So this agent does two things that a static alert rule can't. It remembers, if the same alert fired 5 times within the past 10 minutes, that's flapping, not an emergency. A static threshold rule has no memory of that pattern. And it reasons. It reads the alerts, labels, and annotations and decides in plain language whether this looks like something that needs a human right now. The same judgment call an experienced on-call engineer makes in about 2 seconds. Okay, cool. So now we know that we can alert over from Grafana to Slack through n8n and its workflow. But what's actually going on, right? So this alert is paused and we can come back over to n8n and we can look at this flow. So we have a webhook. That's the front door. We talked about that in a previous session. In this case, we're just passing over the payload from Grafana. We have a parse Grafana alert step. We have a flap check, classify alert AI, a parse AI response, route by decision, and then do we post a suppress log or do we post an escalation, right? So if we wanted to actually step through some of these, we can go to the executions tab. And once we're in the executions tab, again, this is the front door. I'm going to skip over this for now. We can dive into that a little bit later on some of these topics. But we can look at the parse Grafana alert. And here we can see that when we're parsing this alert, we want to make sure we organize it by alert name, severity. Is it coming from Grafana? Is it saying that it's a critical alert? The particular service that's involved, the summary, and importantly, a fingerprint. So every alert's going to have a fingerprint. Then after we've parsed that data that's come back to us from Grafana, and we've organized it in the way that we want to use it, we can send it through our flap checker. And essentially all this is doing is we're seeing how many times that particular type of alert has come through to see if it's making a lot of noise, right? Then we can go through and we can classify the alert with AI. And as talked about in a previous video, let's go ahead and let's set up either OpenAI, Anthropic, whatever you want to do, and we want to send over a particular prompt. So if we look here, this is the prompt that we're actually sending over for this particular alert case. And we're saying alert name, demo high, CPU usage, severity critical. And we can see that database connection rights are failing. So obviously this is one that we're going to want to alert out to Slack on. In particular, if we wanted to see the system prompt that we are sending the AI, we can see here you triage Grafana monitoring alerts for an on-call engineer, given an alert's name, severity. And basically in here, we want to be careful, and you can pause this and read it if you'd like, but we want to be careful on how we prompt these AIs to make sure that they don't incorrectly weight something, and that let's err on the side of caution. And if it could be critical, we actually make sure that we're firing on that. And we can dive deeper into these kind of topics later on. But for now, what have we done so far? We got an alert on Grafana that noticed something went wrong with the database. We took it in on this front door webhook. We parsed that data into readable data for us. We checked to see against the unique fingerprint for each alert if this alert has been going off over and over, if it's just noise. We sent it through Anthropic to help us classify it to determine if it is noise or if it is critical. We then have to take it back. We have to parse it. Cloud wraps JSON replies in a markdown fence. This strips it and parses with a try catch. This is something that we have to do along the way. And then route by decision. Is this something that we can just quietly suppress the log and put it somewhere where it is visible? Or is this something that we, again, need to adhere and let everybody know that something is failing right now? So the agent isn't just an if statement. It's an AI agent with two tools. One that checks how many times this exact alert has fired recently, and one that reads the alert's own labels and annotations, service name, severity, which dashboard it came from. It weighs both before deciding, the same way you'd weigh them if you were the one getting paged yourself. A brand new critical alert on a payment service gets escalated immediately, no hesitation. That same low severity alert that's fired 8 times in the last 5 minutes gets suppressed and logged instead, with a note on why. So nothing disappears silently, it just stops interrupting you. That transparency matters more than it sounds like it should. An agent that quietly hides its own reasoning is worse than no agent at all, because now you've got a black box deciding what wakes you up. Quick break, the full workflow, the test alert payloads, a setup checklist are in GitHub for free. Link in the description and pin comment below. Grab it, wire it in on your own Grafana instance, and come back and let's stress test it. All right, now let's see if this workflow really does survive production. We're gonna hit execute. I'm gonna say waiting for you to call the test URL. We're gonna bring up the terminal instead of hitting it from Grafana. We're gonna hit it directly. We're gonna use this flapper, and we can see that the workflow has started. We can see this execution hit off. We can see that it succeeded and it properly suppressed it, as we've sent multiple alerts over in the past 10 minutes. And then once we use a critical payload, a new instance happens and it actually escalates the message with an @ here, since it's a critical issue. And then again, if that noisy alert came through once more, it would properly identify it as noise to suppress. And now we can see that this workflow does indeed survive production. If you want to go deeper on guardrail side of AI agents, cost caps, kill switches, that's my last video, and you can check it out by clicking right here. New builds are going to be on this channel every week. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. And just to go off script a little bit, I don't mean to seem like a robot when I'm doing these videos. You know, I'm trying to keep it educational, so I want to stick to a script and make sure we can, you know, learn on a specific topic. But as I get better, I'll be better at not reading directly off the teleprompter, or, you know, making sure that the camera is properly zoomed in on the things that we're talking about when we're doing an on-screen learning, right? So, on-screen learning. See, we're on script. We're staying here. We'll throw in some bloopers after this too. That'd be funny. Being a YouTuber, it's always been a dream of mine, and right now is the perfect time for me to do it. It really makes sense to be able to articulate technical ideas on video. It shows that you have that expertise and that you can also share that knowledge with others, firstly. Secondly, it's very scary, and you either adapt or die, right? So let's make a channel about it. Let's learn about it. A series that I want to jump into soon is learning how to leverage AI properly so you don't rely on it, because one of the most important things we have is our brain, right? And how do we leverage those critical thinking skills without replacing ourselves with the AI? So thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And again, like I promised, let's throw up some bloopers, I guess. Quick break. Everything I'm building today. Now, let's walk through it screen by screen, Noah. Screen by screen. It isn't actually fixing anything. It's figuring out what broke, who is it impacting. You drag yourself to a laptop, and the alert is nothing. A blip that revolves. Let's do it again. The agent isn't just an if statement. It's an agent with two tools. One that checks how many times this exact lurk